Hi there. My name is Ruth Maggie St. Onge, and I'm making this video for my home in Victoria, BC. It is December 17th, International Red Umbrella Day. At any other given year, women all over the world would be marching arm in arm, raising their banners and raising their voices to bring attention to eradicating once and for all violence against women. We know that violence comes in many different forms. It is not always welts on the head, black eyes, broken noses, split lips, busted teeth, strangle marks around the throat, cracked ribs, punctured organs, genital abrasions, bruising in places you can't see, broken ankles from trying to escape. Violence comes in many forms: sexualized, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial. And another form of violence is silence. And if you're not talking about it in an effort to stop it, that is a form of violence in my eyes. Seeing as we're going through COVID still right now, we can't march, and so I've taken it upon myself to finally tell my story via video. Please bear with me. I've never made a video. My story comes in 3 parts, and I hope you'll stay till the end. It's not very long. Give me 5 to 7 minutes. It might make you uncomfortable, and that's okay. Discomfort brings conversation. And if people will start talking about it, people will start thinking about it, and it might bring people to action. My story is entitled, Why I March. Part 1. You don't know me, but I march for you. And I march for you. And I march for you. I march for your mother and her mother. I march for my daughter and her daughter. I march for aunts and nieces, best friends, co-workers, neighbors, women that I will never ever set eyes on, and women that I see every single day. But mostly when I march, I think of Donna. The day after my 16th birthday, my best friend's 17-year-old sister was raped and murdered in London, Ontario. October 13th of 1984, remember this name? Donna Jean Alcock. Her raped and beaten body was found at the bottom of an embankment at Fanshawe Dam in London, Ontario. She made the mistake of going to the corner store after midnight. The monster that took Donna's life reportedly has shoved a plastic grocery bag down her throat in an effort to silence her screams and stifle her cries. Nobody heard Donna. So it is incumbent upon all of us here, everybody within hearing of my voice, needs to speak up and be Donna's voice, and be the voice of all of the other Donnas that never returned home. Which brings me to part 2 of my story. As I said, I was a teenager when Donna lost her life. I learned from a very early age that this body was a commodity, that this body, from the hairs of my head to the arches of my feet, was currency, and that through that I could get what I want and what I thought I needed. It took me until I was 51 years old to finally say these words aloud. It was like a lightning bolt hit me in the head one day. After years and years and years of examining my past and my history, to finally come to the realization, without guilt, that I was trafficked. Let me make it very clear to you and make no mistake about it. Contrary to Hollywood's portrayal, of the high school girl by day, call girl by night, that there is no such thing as a teenage sex worker. There is no such thing as a teenage hooker. It is always rape. It is always a crime. It is always the hunter and the hunted. It is always a victor and victim. It is always predator and prey. And it is always a crime. It is rape. Let me say it again. Anybody having sex with an underage girl for any reason is raping her. So if there's somebody that you see in your neighborhood, a young girl going to the bus stop, and you see stockings and a garter beneath her sweatpants, ask why. Engage with her and speak to her. If she seems intoxicated at Friday night walking down the street with her uncle, engage with her and speak to her. And if you're wrong, no harm, no foul. But if you're right, you may change her life just by stopping and asking questions. So be brave and get involved because it matters. I worked for decades going in and out of the industry, living in shame and suffering in silence. In my early 30s, my friend Megan, hi Megan, took me to a place called Piers, which is a third part of my story. I walked into this building and was immediately met with open arms, without judgment. I felt no guilt, no shame. I wasn't going to be silenced anymore. I met confident, funny, brilliant women who enveloped me with compassion and love and didn't question me. I walked into those doors a victim. I stayed there and became a survivor. I left there a thriver. I know we're all suffering right now. We're all pinching our pennies and trying to make sense of this crazy year that we've had. But if you do find yourself able in the season of giving to be able to give to a charity, think of places in your own community, places like Piers, the Foundry, AIDS Vancouver Island, Her Way Home, places that will empower young girls and women to become exactly who they are meant to be. We live in a landscape right now of broken souls and fractured identities. Women from the time they are very little girls are pushed and pulled and twisted, molded into being what society thinks we should be. We are given only what they say we deserve, nothing more and nothing less. We become whatever they say we should become. Instead of us being able to look deep within our souls and deep in our hearts and listen to our guts and think for ourselves, overcoming obstacles that no one should ever have to struggle with and jump over hoops. It's not fair, and life ain't easy. And I know this. I was given the ability through a space like Piers to conquer my demons, to heal my wounds, and to have the power to keep going, or to become who it is that I am meant to be. Which brings me to the third part of my story, which is very quick and very succinct and to the point. Mark my words and listen closely. There is nothing more powerful than a broken woman who has rebuilt herself. I thank you for listening to me. Namaste. Nina Shikuru. Good night.